This is your host, Salahuddin Chaudhry, in the Penta-S Salsoul segment with a new narrative. And I shall be placing before you, my good viewers and ladies and gentlemen, my feelings and thoughts regarding heart-lacerating matter. Very topical, very, very topical, happening these days. And that is of big concern for all Pakistanis. Most devastating floods, most devastating, of unprecedented scale ever, coming from unkind, non-stop monsoons. The monsoons, which are supposed to bring you blessings, instead it brought us curse. My narrative today, and it will be in several parts over the next couple of days, because of the gravity of the subject, I shall bring to you a number of times to make you feel just the way I feel. Before that, I shall begin by making a compassionate appeal in this particular part, covering Pakistan floods disaster. You can see a landscape, or rather an aerial view, right in front of you down there in the other monitor. And I do this, and I have the honor to do so probably in my Penta-S Salsoul YouTube. Dear viewers, I appeal to you. I appeal to God's world. I appeal to you, the God's world. I appeal to world conscience. I appeal to world conscience for restoration of faith and trust. Restoration of faith and trust in disaster-affected people of Pakistan. Who? The disaster-affected people of Pakistan. For rescue, relief and repair. Rescue, relief and repair. For clean drinking water, fresh and dry fruit, medicines, shelter, and so on. All those to rebuild, reconstruct, and rehabilitate during, and which is coming, during the post-floods epidemic of diseases, you can imagine. Waterborne diseases, dengue, malaria, and God knows what, cholera, typhoid, dysentery for the children, all the people, and mostly the children will be suffering. Probably many will die, I hope not. And I appeal to you, and I appeal to all generous and philanthropists on this planet Earth, because flood victims need your help. For flood relief of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, I recall World Suicide Day, which took place on the 10th of September. Why I say this? It's a day which we observe to try and tell the people not to do something which is cowardice, like suicide. But when people get into desperation, there's no choice. They are suffering, there's no food, nothing to eat, so what do? Some of them resort to committing suicide. And during these floods, during the months of July, end July and early July, end of June and early July, Some women committed suicide. And some, even what they did, they threw their children into the water. Out of desperation, what could they do? They did it. But of course, this day, taking place on the 10th of September, recognized by the United Nations, they remind us, the United Nations tells us not to do this because it is cowardice. Must have hope. We must not despair, but some people do. Again, I would like to remind you, my good viewers, of 5th of September, a day which is celebrated by the world, as recognized by the UN, as International Day of Charity. Why? The UN and the member countries of the United Nations, they want the people of the world to be generous, to give charity to the needy. And that's why 5th of September, which passed a couple of weeks back, observed as International Day of Charity. Now, another very important one is called International Day for Preservation of Ozone Layer. What is ozone layer? It's a layer, it's a cloud, it's a collection of probably clouds or something of that sort, which keeps the sun rays, the scorching sun rays, the light from the sun coming into the world to cause problem because it's extremely hot, heat generation. So that layer keeps the heat away. Ozone layer depletion is unkind and important, is happening because of the man-made issues of different sorts. So the ozone layer gets blasted, gets depleted, and the sun rays start percolating through the depleted areas onto the earth, and that causes heat. And that's why we have had this year a great heat wave. Now, my dear good viewers, I am sure most of my viewers and audience have seen the flood devastations in Pakistan on television and social media, and must have heard over radio as well. And I am sure you all will agree and share what I have to say, because I am in melancholy. Probably not like many of you, many of out there, and most of us out there in the flood-affected areas are suffering. Outside the flood-affected areas, we are suffering because other people, there are people like us, they are suffering there in the floods, in the rains, in destruction and so on. So, my dear viewers, I can only say my heart is bleeding. My heart is bleeding, and hearts are bleeding many a place. Nay, my heart is bleeding, nay, hearts of millions of people are bleeding. Hundreds have bled to death. Hundreds have bled to death. So, kuvadis with a bound, my fellow human beings. Vedarban, kuvadis, my fellow human beings. This is the time to come up and help. Flood victims say, where do we go from here? Where do we go here from? Millions and billions are doled out to few hundreds in distress in the rich countries. Sorry, I have to say that, and it's the truth. Millions are doled out and given away in charity or to help to few hundreds who are in trouble, who are in distress, who are like immigrants and so on. In boat people, they're suffering, but very few hundred. But hundreds and millions and billions of, dollars and pounds are given away, spending for their rescue, for their welfare. Of course, I'm not saying we should not do that. We must do it. And we say, hats off to you that you are very generous. You are doing it from the rich countries, from the developed world. But similar things, similar gestures need to be shown in other parts of the world, wherever devastations are taking place. So what a pity. Their hearts don't bleed for the millions suffering elsewhere. It's a hard fact. Fie, the poor Lord. The poor Lord always are the ones who are cornered. Don't forget, many of my viewers who are watching me from other parts of the world, apart from our own, in the West, in Europe, in the Americas, in other continents, people there, please don't forget. Who knows? You too might fall into this kind of trap sometime or the other. So generosity, philanthropy of you, what you have, will always matter. Mind you, the people of the world, we in South Asia, we in Pakistan, are not begging, are not here or to you with begging bowls. No, mind you, we are not begging. Surely Pakistan is not begging. People here are fellow humans like you, self-righteous and self-respected. They are self-righteous and self-respected people. We say we have the right. Yes, we have the right to live. My good viewers, whoever you are, I say and we say, all of us say, every single person has a right to live. We certainly have the right. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, this is the appeal. Here we appeal to you. Sorry, I'm carried away. And that's why, forgive me, my good viewers. We appeal for your wholehearted support. We appeal to the current 100 richest or wealthiest tycoons of the world who are most generous, like Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, like Warren Buffett. I'll just give you one or two examples. There are so many. You'll know. If you Google, you'll know who the 100 richest people are. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, former Prince Charles, now the King Charles III. Now King Charles III. He runs many charities. Mark Zuckerberg. And of course, our own Pakistan diaspora abroad. We need your support.